you?
Oh, I'm very well. The majority of our knowledge about British citizens who live in the EU is based on an image of retirees. And of course, there are many British retirees in the EU, but we shouldn't also forget that there are children and people who are working in other European Union countries. At the moment, there are 200 people living in various different locations around the EU who respond to different sets of questions that we send out to them on a regular basis. And particularly for those who have been actively involved in campaigning, they often come over to London. So I have gone along with them to a couple of rallies. As Brexit has been quite a long and drawn-out process, that has been accompanied by quite considerable protracted uncertainty for British citizens who live in the EU.
I had to have a brain surgery, so and I had some repercussions. So for a long time, I was in a kind of quite vulnerable, and the Portuguese healthcare system, from my point of view, it saved my life. The free access that I had, it's been really difficult to think long term because you're never quite sure what the conditioning factors are going to be.
I think what's been at the back of my mind and is becoming kind of increasingly like an alarm bell is like, okay, what's going to happen when you're not an EU citizen? Really has made me very, very, very aware of what my life might have been like had I not been British, but still been a black woman trying to live here.
British people who live in the EU 27 include British people of colour, whose experiences, as we've documented through the project, of living in Europe can be quite different to those of their white British counterparts.
I remember when we were getting our mortgage for our house, being asked for a residence permit. And I was like, I don't need a residence permit to be here. I'm an EU citizen. Oh, of course. Oh yeah, you're British, aren't you?
Talking with them, you do get a very strong sense of them trying to make sense of what Brexit means for that relationship between them and Britain as they found themselves questioned for their allegiance to Britain.
Never felt particularly British because I always felt a bit like an outcast because I'd grown up in various EU countries and so I had this very strange nationality.
I'm very much Welsh, British and European. I never thought of it in any particular order, but actually now since the referendum I realised how important the European identity is to me, and that's not just me.
One of the things that I think that the Brexit debate highlights is the need to ask those questions again about who counts as British. And I think that we need to understand that geographies of Britishness extend far beyond the borders of this island nation. And it's only in recognising that there are British citizens living elsewhere in the world that we can actually start to raise important questions about Britishness in the world today.